Today we're going to talk about demystifying reading, viewing, and listening in the intermediate grades in 5 minutes or less. I'm hoping after this video you might know more about what reading, viewing, and listening means in the curriculum according to grades 4 to 7. How do we assess these skills? And also, how do we report on them? In the curriculum for reading, viewing, and listening in grades 4 to 7, using a variety of texts to read, view, and listen are all receptive skills. These skills ask students to extract meaning from what they see and hear. Why are they important? Well, these skills help learners have positive social relations. It's used for entertainment, such as texting and responding to an email, as well as in day-to-day living, such as reading road signs and addresses, and of course, with academics. When we take a deeper look into the curriculum, you may notice that there are critical skills within reading, listening, and viewing that are important. Engage and question, process, analyze, recognize identity, and voice. The complexity of these skills are explored through content allocated for each grade. The one thing that is consistent throughout grades 4 to 7 is the definition for text. And what I'd like to draw your attention to is that it shares a variety of formats for a learner to take in information. And it doesn't mention a benchmark or a grade for any of these. Variety in multiple ways is the main idea when defining text in the curriculum. The first critical skill is engage and question, and it's just what it means, posing questions and learners attempting to respond to them. The second is process. What type of reading strategies is the learner using to understand what they're reading, viewing, and listening? The third is analyze. How are they reflecting on the information that they are taking in? The fourth is recognize identity and voice. Where does their perspective come into play? And how do they understand other people's point of view? Next, how do we assess these skills? Well, the number one thing is we need to intentionally listen to our learners read aloud. When we listen to a learner read aloud, we're able to match a just right book with them, we're able to reinforce strengths, we're able to support them in whole class lessons, and we're also able to move them to the next just right level, and as well have conversations about what they were reading. It's important for us to understand the scale, and if you're not familiar with it, there's more information on NLPS Learns. The scale itself shows how there's an initial understanding to partial to complete to sophisticated. This is the criteria of critical skills shared on the ministry website. I've clipped grades 4 to 7 for you to see the 4 critical areas and some language that could be used to report. How do we report? It can be very complex. A child may be able to identify a main idea and one supporting detail, as seen here, using a just right text, which may be a lower level text, but they're able to set goals and they're also able to make personal connections. In this image, you can see that it's very important to use your professional judgment as well as understand the child's exhibiting the skills through possibly orally sharing information, through viewing, where you may have to come to a decision where using a lower level text, exhibiting some of the skills lands a child, in this case, close to proficient. Another example shows a learner that possibly when reading a just right text can exhibit the skills that we are looking for, such as listen and ask questions, and that they're beginning in an emerging level to know the importance of self-reflecting on skills they do have and those that they need to increase in understanding. And now what? What's next for you? Well, we talked about a few examples of how to report on a learner for reading, viewing, and listening in grades 4 to 7. For more information, go to NLPS Learns, and at the top menu, click Communicating Learning. Under the second tab, Elementary Report Card, on the left, you will find a collection of documents to support teachers when crafting, whether it's a comment or other information. For example, there's considerations for written report cards talking about English language arts with reading, viewing, and listening in mind. Possible ideas of assessment, possible ways to write, next steps, strengths, and ways to support.